Welcome to The Writer's Dream, a show for authors. On our show, we talk about how we write our books, how we publish our books, and how we market our books. We are on Facebook. Just look for The Writer's Dream. If you have a question for us or if you have a request to be on the show, please address it to that website. I look at the messages and respond to them. So today's guest is Jacqueline Gutierrez, and Jacqueline Gutierrez is a registered dietitian. She is the author and illustrator of What Happened to My Strawberry Yogurt? And she is the illustrator of Butterfly Garden Coloring Book. She is an educator. She teaches online classes in culinary arts. And she's also provided lesson plans with her books, something near and dear to my heart because I was a teacher and I also do the same thing. I provide lesson plans. And she has her own publishing company. It's called Seed Press. So Jacqueline, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, and I'm happy for you to be able to talk about what happened to my strawberry yogurt. So would you like to talk about the content of the book first?
Yeah, What Happened to My Strawberry Yogurt is an interesting story about a boy who invents a shrink suit. He shrinks down to the size of a pea. His sister accidentally swallows him, and he travels through her digestive tract. So it's a kind of an action-adventure story which teaches children about the science of digestion in a way they don't even realize that they're learning about science. So
yeah, Jacqueline has some of the illustrations.
I created the illustrations for the book. In this illustration, the boy Andy is texting his friend saying that the shrink suit is ready. Okay, here he shrinks down to the size of a pea. He falls into the bowl of nuts. Before you know it, his sister accidentally swallows him along with the yogurt. Here he's in her mouth, wondering how he could jump out, which of course he can't because it's too far. His sister and his friend are shocked when they see the webcam, and they find him inside her. She was wondering what that feeling was in her throat. And he slides down her throat and lands in her stomach and travels through her whole digestive tract.
Which is really a very interesting way of teaching the digestive system, which I did for years. And but I must say, this probably hasn't done much for brother-sister relationships. Reminds me of that commercial. Have you seen that commercial on television where the setting is like a big international conference, and it's the pact that they're signing is the big sister, little brother.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
That's funny. What this reminds me of.
Well, yeah, I have two little brothers myself. And I know it could be,
yes, it can be challenging.
Ups and downs getting along with them.
So you have told me that you're doing workshops in schools now about the book?
Yes, I have several author visits lined up. I have, in one school district, I'm going to be doing a creative writing workshop where I'm going to ask the children to envision themselves shrinking down to the size of a pea, and ask them what they would do if they were in that situation. Hopefully they wouldn't accidentally fall into a bowl of nuts, but you never know what's going to happen.
Well, what would you do if you shrunk down to the size of a pea? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I think I would definitely try to climb up onto the highest surface and wave my arms around and try to call attention to myself until somebody could unshrink me.
But I think I would look at it as an opportunity. I think I would want to spy.
Yeah, definitely.
On people.
You could go places nobody would ever see you, hide in a little plant on the
right.
side.
It's like that expression, "Oh, to be a fly on the wall."
Right.
I think I would really take advantage of it.
Find out about everybody's secrets. Nobody would even see you
The only
there.
problem is transportation. How do you get there? Especially if you're the size of a pea. That's definitely.
That would be another book.
I was just going to say, that's a plot for another book. So you did this entire project yourself.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I wrote the story. I illustrated it. When I originally had the idea for the story, I was thinking that I would have the girl Lisa just eat the yogurt and explain to the reader about the process of digesting the yogurt. And then I came up with this idea a few years ago, and then about 2 years ago I joined LICWI, the Long Island Writers and Illustrators group, and I also joined some critique groups, and based on the feedback in the critique groups, I found I should make the story more exciting, more appealing to children. So instead of being a picture book where the girl's just explaining about digestion, it turned into, the story evolved into a chapter book. So now there are chapters, and there's even a glossary at the end with some of the words that children might not realize that are related to digestion. So instead of including all that terminology in the story, the words are there, but they could look in the glossary to see what they mean. So
Like
they
Kindle,
don't
where you-
have to interrupt the story.
Right. You just
Right.
press on the word in Kindle and
Yeah.
the definition comes up. But a word about LICWI. LICWI stands for Long Island Children's Writers and Illustrators, and it's a very active group here on Long Island. It meets once a month. I think it's the third Saturday
Yeah.
at St. Joseph's
second
College.
Saturday.
Second Saturday?
Yeah.
At St. Joseph's College in Patchogue, and it is made up of published and non-published writers and
Oh, yeah,
illustrators.
it's definitely a wonderful group.
And it's a large group. The critiquing is great. There are also authors who will do workshops to try to get your creative juices flowing. And then sometimes agents come and you can read the first couple of pages of your manuscript to see if they're interested. So it's really a great way, I think, to get into the world of producing a book from an idea. Because I think there are, what I've run into, I've done workshops myself on how to self-publish. And the whole thing is I have this great idea, but I have no idea how to make a book out of it. And so joining organizations, as you did, and critique groups is a very interesting way of doing
Oh,
that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, for any new writer, sometimes people think they could just write a story. I self-published, but I didn't just throw it out there without getting the critique. If I did, it wouldn't have been the quality story that it is now. Unfortunately, some people do that, and that's why self-publishing kind of got a bad name to it, because some people just write anything that comes to the top of their head and they publish it and they think that's a good book. But I did get lots of critique from peers, from editors, and they gave me feedback, and I changed the story and I changed the illustrations based on that feedback.
Yes, and I think that if you're not, if you're doing that, because I never thought of myself, I didn't wake up as a teenager and say I need to be a writer. I had a career in education, and my writing came very late in that career based on some of the experiences I had. But what I did was I took a course. Every time I wrote a book, I took a course, so I had a mentor. And I didn't do critique groups because I didn't even know about them. But also, it depends on who you self-publish with. Some of the self-publishing companies, and I won't mention names, will let you publish anything. Others, I had to jump through hoops. I mean, and I have a book in the hopper now, and it's been professionally edited. I'll do one more proofread on it, and then I'll submit it to the publisher. But the publisher I have, it really holds you to industry standards, which is what you want. You don't want someone a publisher who's just going to publish anything that you write without vetting it and making sure
definitely.
that it's been proofread and edited, and you're absolutely right. There's small press as well, and then your own publishing company, but I would say that you did the right thing by getting all that feedback. That was a long process, wasn't it?
Yeah. I came up with the idea probably more than 10 years ago. I've been showing it to different people, and based on the feedback, the story has evolved into what it is today. But I'd say the most changes occurred over the past 2 years after I started joining critique groups and getting some real feedback on the story, and I finally finished the illustrations. I also went through several stages with the illustrations. I wasn't sure whether I was going to use colored pencil or watercolor, and I decided to go with digital illustration. I drew the sketches by hand, and I finished the illustrations in Photoshop.
I think that's what my illustrator does too, actually, with my illustrations. But so you're really very computer savvy because you did all the graphics yourself. You formatted the book, which
Yes, I formatted the book.
how does that work?
Well, I have a program called Quark Express where you could lay out the pages for the print version. I also made an ebook version of what happened to my strawberry yogurt, and I found that I didn't particularly like Quark for that, so I used a program which is actually free of charge. You could download it for free called Sigil, and I found Sigil to be
How do you spell that?
Sigil. And I found that to be a wonderful program. I was able to create the ebook, have hyperlinks from the table of contents to all the chapters, and put the pictures exactly where I wanted them, and clear up all the error messages, in a reasonable, manner. So I was having a little trouble with that. With the other programs, I tried InDesign and Quark Express, but the pictures weren't where I wanted them, and the error messages remained even after I tried to clear them up. So Sigil is free, and it worked better than the programs that you actually have to pay for to convert the book to an ebook.
But I imagine that was a real learning experience to do that.
Oh, definitely.
Because I know every time I do something new on the computer, it's amazing how much you learn. And then you really understand that so many of the programs on the computer are intuitive. They all kind of, once you learn that pathway that they go on, they all kind of work the same way.
Well, I actually do have an associate's degree in graphic design, so that's where I learned how to use Quark Express, Photoshop, and Illustrator. The Sigil I learned on my own.
Are you looking to get other people to publish with you?
Oh, yes, yeah. Sprouting Seed Press is the small publishing company I opened to publish what happened to my strawberry yogurt. I'm also looking to eventually publish other people who are interested in books, children's books about science, health, and nature. I think there's more of that's needed. A lot of children don't have appreciation for our natural environment, for the plants and animals, and what it takes to remain healthy. So I'd like to promote that.
Health is a big issue today.
Yeah.
I mean, the story, I was always driving out here, they were talking about finding restaurants that are not reporting how much salt there is in their food. So this has become quite an issue.
City, yeah.
But I see a whole series here, all the systems of the body.
Yeah, that could be. Well,
Sure.
right now I'm also illustrating a book called Taste the Colors, which is a picture book about a girl who sees a rainbow, and then she runs into the kitchen and she pulls out things from the cupboards and the refrigerator and everything to taste foods from each color of the rainbow. So that's geared toward younger children, to get them to try different foods, to try different fruits and vegetables that are of various colors, and to have a variety of foods in their diets. And they're finding that the foods that are more highly pigmented contain more antioxidants,
right.
and they're actually
Blue and
better
purple.
for you.
Eat blue and purple.
Yeah, I mean, all the colors. So definitely. So the more colored the foods are, the better they are for you. All those anthocyanins and everything are those are, like you said, the purples and the blues.
Blue and purple.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, what color foods attracted you, or what color foods turned you off?
Well, I don't think I really went by color when I was a kid.
Texture?
Yeah, maybe texture.
See, I like foods that had a lot of color. I didn't like beige foods. Like if somebody put a cream sauce on something,
Yeah.
never going to touch it.
I guess I liked crunchy foods, and I also liked some foods that were softer. I didn't like those like chewy meats and stuff, and I still don't. I'm personally a semi-vegetarian, and that might have something to do with it. I just didn't like the texture of those meats.
Right. Well, I think the more you find out about nutrition, the more you kind of steer away from some meats and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, there's
as much as I
no
love
actual real need to have meats. I mean, if people
no.
do want to choose some lean meats that could be worked into the diet, but.
So how about a cookbook for kids?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about that. I'm actually gathering some of my own recipes, healthy snacks that kids can make either alone or with their parents. So So I actually have the outline for it, and I'm starting to develop recipes, but I think it's going to be a little bit down the line before that actually gets published.
Right, I know.
I'm still in the recipe development phase for that.
It's amazing when you publish your book. It's actually a big accomplishment that there's like that hiatus in between. Don't talk to me about another book for a while, okay? It's like when you have a baby. But you're multi-talented. I'd like you to talk a little bit about your Butterfly Garden coloring book. Coloring books are so big now. And I've always loved to color.
Yeah, I've always loved to color
It's
too.
therapeutic.
Yeah, even when I was a kid, I loved to draw and paint and color. Even in my notebook, in the margins, I would always draw little doodles and stuff.
So did you study art formally, or are you just a good drawer?
Well, it started out with me loving to draw. I did take a very nice art class with, I believe, Mr. Stein in junior high school, and then I took an art class in college. After I graduated college and graduate school, I did go back for the associates in graphic design because I really did want to do something more with my art. And I made, actually before I did that, I had another book, Lisa's Day Food Guide coloring book, which I didn't know anything about how to use Photoshop. So I was drawing them by hand. I was scanning them into the computer. I was realizing they needed to be fixed up. Then I would print them out again, and then I'd redraw them and scan them in again. And it was a long process of drawing, scanning, rescanning, and rescanning. And to be honest, that really wasn't,
Wasn't
that
satisfying.
No.
Frustrating.
So, I did get it published, and, that was when we still had the Food Guide Pyramid out. So that was a few years ago.
Now, you published this yourself?
Yes, I also self-published that. I
These
published it under
illustrations,
Healthy Colors. I actually took a lot of the reference photos, and my friend Sherry Dell's a professional photographer. She took some of the reference photos, and I also bought some stock reference photos.
Of the different butterflies?
Yes, of the different butterflies.
Yeah,
I embellished some of the butterflies, so not all of them are realistic. This is an example of one of the illustrations from the book, which is also
I
the
think
cover
they're beautiful.
illustration.
What I like about them is that they are...
This is another one. This is, people could download this on my
That's so
JSGWI website. Only I put a little copyright symbol there.
I like them because they're not overly busy. I was in one of the bookstores, and I picked up a couple of coloring books because I really do like to color, but